Okay, so that was number 2. Let's jump into number 3. And here now we have reached at last the audience participation segment that I promised. So you've downloaded the app by now, at least I sure hope so. Otherwise it's too late. Let me explain how this is going to work. So on the next slide, you're going to see a whole bunch of QR codes that look kind of like this, right? So this is an example one. Now, what I'd like you to do, and the one that's on the screen right now is a test one, so go ahead and try this as I'm explaining it. I'd like you to open the app and find the button in the top right corner that looks like that. So it's got a little QR code with little brackets around it. So go ahead and push that button. The phone should ask for your permission to use the camera. Go ahead and grant that, and then scan this QR code that I have on the screen right now. Now, when you do that, you should get a message that says something like, "Oh, I tried to process the payment, but there's no funds available," or it'll say something like that. And the reason it says that is because this QR code has already been used. This is just an example. But I want you to kind of get in the flow of I want you to get in the flow of scanning the QR code with the barcode or with the camera. Now, the reason I want you to understand how to do that is because the next slide I mentioned with the QR codes, those are not empty, right? The QR codes on the next slide contain approximately $100 worth of Bitcoin Cash. And it's all varying amounts. I think the smallest one is like $1. The biggest one is like $14. I want you to be ready. I'm going to have the next slide up for 60 seconds. And this is what I'd like you to do. Scan the QR code. You'll get one of two messages. The first message is, "Hey, payment processed, payment received," and you should see the money in your wallet. The other message that you might get is, "No funds available." Now, if you get that message, it means that someone else in the audience has already claimed that Bitcoin Cash. So go ahead and try a different one. Now, if you get a payment from one of these codes, please type in the chat how much you got. That'll tell me whether or not this stunt is working. And I'd also like to keep an eye on the amounts that's coming through. There's a couple that are bigger than the other ones, and I want to make sure those get claimed before I move on. Okay, so is everyone ready? Here we go. It's 60 seconds. 60 seconds on the clock. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Have at it. Yeah, so I should probably say, like, I have never done this before, and I have never seen anyone else do this before. So I think it'll work. I hope it works. Okay, I see some numbers coming in, so let's go. Let's go.
Just reading some of them off, we've got 107, 316, 106, 842, 845, 107.
Nice.
201, 107, 318.
I'm super jazzed. I was a little worried about the resolution, like it might be too small, but yeah, seems like it's working.
528.
All right, we've got about 20 seconds left. Keep scanning. Keep scanning. There's a big one that I don't see that's come. I mean, big. It's not huge. It's like $14 or whatever, but I haven't seen that one come through. Okay, and I'm gonna say that's time. Okay, so that was cool, right? Like, wasn't that pretty awesome? So the question is, how did I do that? How could I possibly how could I possibly have sent money through a PowerPoint slide? Like, you guys provided no information. You didn't give me your name. You didn't give me your email address. You didn't give me your phone number, social security number, bank account information. You didn't even give me your Bitcoin Cash address. How did I send you money? Well, what I'd like to do is explain to you how that mechanism worked. Now, the reason I know how it worked is because I was chatting with my very good friend Roger Veer about this, and I I wrote a post where I speculated, like, here's what I think is happening in the background based on what I'm seeing happen in the foreground. And Roger Ver hopped in and said, yep, you're right on the money. One minor correction, but otherwise, I was spot on with my kind of speculation about how it works. So I'm gonna relay to you what I was talking about. Now, I should very quickly, for the sake of honesty, I'm not Roger Ver's friend. I'd like to be Roger Ver's friend. So Roger, if you're watching this, drop me a line. Let's get coffee. But Roger Ver is one of the legends of Bitcoin history, and I was super excited to talk to him on Reddit for even just a couple minutes. Anyway, let's talk about the mechanism that I just used. So this slide, I think, is probably going to get a little bit chaotic because I'd actually like to do two things on this slide at the same time. So the first thing, as I said, is I'm going to explain how the thing that we just did, how that works. But the second thing I'd like to do is everyone who just received money from me, I'd like you to send some of it back. Not a lot. I want you to send 5 cents back to me, okay? So this is what I'm going to do. I am going to pull up my phone here, and I'm going to put my Bitcoin Cash address on the screen, along with some instructions. Now, they're very simple instructions. You could probably figure this out without using them, but I put them there just in case. So what I'd like you to do is when my Bitcoin Cash appears on the screen, I would like you to send me 5 cents. And I'm going to, while I'm talking, I'm going to hold my phone up like this. So I'm doing this for 2 reasons. Number one, I want you to see how easy this is, okay? These are real, actual cryptocurrency transactions. You are constructing valid Bitcoin Cash transaction and sending them to the real, actual Bitcoin Cash network. The second thing I want you to see is how fast this is. The reason I'm holding my phone up like this is because I want you to watch. When you click slide, watch for the pop-up to happen on my screen, and you can see how fast it is. Okay, ready? Here we go. There's my Bitcoin Cash address. There's the instructions. Now I'm going to jump into the explanation of how the thing that we just used worked. Okay, so to send Bitcoin Cash through a PowerPoint slide. Oh, got one. Oh, geez, my phone's blown up. Oh, man. Yeah, okay. I thought that would take a minute for it to come, but oh, man. Look at that. It's like I'm a performer on stage and people are throwing nickels at me. Okay, so while that keeps chiming, let me explain the PowerPoint trick. Okay, so there's several components here. First component is the app on my phone. So when I installed this Bitcoin.com wallet app, the app automatically created for me a new Bitcoin Cash private key. So that basically is my wallet. Now, the other pieces of the puzzle here are Bitcoin.com and their servers, a third-party data storage system. So this is just one of those places that you send data, they encrypt it and store it for you. Fourth component, of course, is the Bitcoin Cash network and the blockchain. And the final component is your app. So you downloaded the app, and as soon as you opened it, it created a Bitcoin Cash private key for you. And so now you have your very own wallet. Okay, here's how this goes. Step 1, when I do a shareable link, is my app will create a new Bitcoin Cash wallet. So it creates a new private key and a new temporary wallet. The second thing that happens is it will broadcast a transaction to the Bitcoin Cash network. Now, this little icon here that I've got of the orange square pointing at the blue square, that represents a transaction that's moving the money from the orange wallet to the blue wallet. So that's how to understand when you see this symbol. Okay, so a transaction broadcasts to the Bitcoin Cash network that moves the coins from my wallet to the temporary wallet. Okay, so once that's processed, you can see the Bitcoin Cash has moved to the temporary wallet. The third thing that happens is my app creates another transaction. This transaction sends the coins from the temporary wallet back to my wallet. I'm going to go ahead and put my phone down so I don't have to hold it the whole time. But you got the idea. You saw what happened. Okay, so this third transaction sends the coins from the temporary wallet back to my wallet. Now, I don't broadcast that to the Bitcoin Cash network because if I did, the coins would just come right back to me, and obviously that's not what I want. What we do instead is we give that transaction to Bitcoin.com. And they don't do anything with it. They just hold it. But we'll come back to that. Okay. The fourth thing that happens is my app uploads the private key of the temporary wallet to the third-party data storage. So gets put right there. And in response, the third-party data storage gives me back a link to the private key, right? So my phone now has the link to the private key in storage. The sixth thing is that my app gives your app the link to the private key. Now, the way we did this today is that we used QR codes. So I put the link to the key in the QR code, and that's what you scan on the screen. But you don't have to do it that way. You can do it. You can send somebody a text message with the link. You could send it to them in an email, like any way that you can get this link to the person. They click on it. If they don't have this app, they're prompted to download it, and then it immediately opens it. Long story short, step 6 is I give the link to you. Okay, step 7, your app downloads the key from the private store, from the data storage in the cloud. Your app then uses that private key to recreate the wallet in your phone. And remember, this wallet has the Bitcoin Cash in it, right? So now the two wallets exist on your phone. The ninth thing that happens is your app uses the private key of the temporary wallet, which you now have, to broadcast a transaction to the Bitcoin Cash network that transfers the coins from the temporary wallet to your wallet. And then, of course, once that's processed, you can see the Bitcoin Cash will move into your wallet. And there you have it. Now, this is so cool. You can give Bitcoin Cash to anyone, even if they don't have the wallet installed yet. Like, you can just give them the link, and this all happens. The second reason this is really cool is because no private information is transacted. So even though I put money in a wallet and gave you the wallet, neither my private key nor your private key is exposed to anyone. The only private key that moves is this temporary wallet one, which just gets thrown away. But then the other reason that this is so cool is, like, again, these are real transactions. There's no custodian. There's no one that's like moving the money on your behalf. These are actual real cryptocurrency transactions. Okay, so the very last step for this is, let's say I give you a link to this and you don't actually use it for anything. 30 days after step 3, where I gave the link to, or I gave the transaction to Bitcoin.com, they will broadcast that transaction to the Bitcoin Cash network. So if you don't redeem those coins for whatever reason, when this transaction gets broadcast from Bitcoin.com, those coins will be sent back to me. Now, if you have redeemed the coins, then when this transaction gets broadcast, it'll just get ignored by the network because it's an invalid transaction. So the coins aren't in that wallet anymore. But it's just kind of a safety net. Like, I give these links out like candy to people, and if for whatever reason someone doesn't, renew it, it'll just find its way back to my wallet eventually, which is super cool.